Okay, what would you say to the teachers who are wary of the impact that it's going to have on learning, and how and the fact that AI might be used for harm instead of good, and how can we as teachers kind of ensure or try to ensure that the generative AI is used in a good way and doesn't become detrimental to the learning process?
Yeah, I think this is the fundamental question that sort of strikes fear actually into the heart of a lot of educators, but also anyone who's got an interest in the kind of their children's future. And someone with children myself, it's also something I've been thinking about. Do I want my daughter to be using these tools in the classroom, and if so, in what way? How can it be used responsibly? And I think the answer to this is to look back at other things that set precedent for this, and you could go back and ask, well, how did the calculator impact education, or how did the internet itself? And the answer was never to ban these tools or to kind of blacklist them and tell students they're not to be used, because ultimately they will exist in their working life and they will exist in their futures. So I think it's important, first of all, to not take a negative attitude towards anything new in terms of technology, and to sort of say, well, how can we use it responsibly and in a way that's to their advantage? And I think what will happen over time is that we will see things like examinations being either open or closed AI, and in exactly the same way that we do with coursework and the internet. Some parts of students' education are measured on a basis of that they have access to the World Wide Web and information, and some are testing their ability to think on the spot. And I think we'll see the same thing with generative AI. I think it's a fantastic tool for people perhaps with educational needs, special educational needs, where a blank page in front of them is the worst thing in the world and their nightmare, and they need something to get going. But when they do get going, fantastic ideas come out of them. And so I think it has the potential to unlock ability where previously that ability was hidden. And I think that's really important, that we use it in that manner. And the other manner I would really like to see it being used is as an aid to a student, almost as like a personal tutor that can help them to overcome blocks in their understanding or blocks in their sort of thought processes around particular topics. The brilliant thing about tools like ChatGPT is that they can be used interactively. So you don't just ask it a question and then stop like you do with the search engine. And if you put the wrong thing into the search engine, you're going to get the wrong answer. What you can do with ChatGPT is constantly refine what you're asking, or if you don't understand something about what it said, you can just ask it to elaborate. So I've seen this being used with children at the moment who are using this almost as an interactive means to understand the topic better. And I think that's a really powerful way that we can introduce it into the classroom. On the understanding that we also teach students about the dangers of AI and the fact that it can, on occasion, say things that are wrong. And that's no different from the internet itself. It's easy to sort of dismiss generative AI and say, well, we can't use it because it's going to tell students the wrong thing sometimes. But we could say the same thing about the internet or about a calculator.
Wikipedia.
Or Wikipedia, yeah, precisely. So I think just developing interrogation skills and research skills, all of those skills alongside the kind of hard facts that we're teaching is important, and probably is going to become even more relevant as we go forward with this technology, because being critical of what you're reading, and you see these days the things with disinformation and the misinformation campaigns, is so important for children to learn how to do it, and that's a skill that really we should focus on, I think.
No, absolutely. I think what you've said about the calculator is really key, because what we're seeing now, I know at my school, the exam board that we do, the papers are not, there is no non-calculator paper with the exam board that we do. That all the papers are calculator papers. Now, if you went back 10 years, I'm not sure that would be the case.
I've used this in the past where I'm generating some content and I know that it might not have all of the facts at its disposal. So I just say, if you're not sure of a particular date or a particular location, could you just replace it with the word not sure, or like in square brackets, please enter information here, because then you as a human can go in and fill in the blanks with a Google search.
Yeah.
that's a really good tip and trick, I think, for using these tools. Is not to always trust what you see, but ask it if it's not sure about something.
And so, in the same way, you can paste if you believe that specifically ChatGPT has created a student's work, you can paste it into ChatGPT and ask it if it's written it, and it will tell you the truth.
You can. I would be very cautious about making too many claims about whether something's GPT written or not.
Yeah.
Because the one thing we want to do is tell, I guess, a student that's spent hours writing something themselves.
But you think AI has generated it? Yeah,
so
fair enough.
You've got to be extremely careful, I think, with these things. It's a really delicate subject.
Yeah.
We don't have all the answers, I think, it's true to say at the moment.
Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. Right, we have had some guidance from the DFE, and I'm just going to kind of talk you through where I went with this and how I used AI to kind of help me in this. So just putting my presentation back on, hopefully it will appear. So generative artificial intelligence in education, which should appear on your screens very shortly. Yep, that's coming now. Oh, it's disappeared again. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this this document, this report was done in March this year by the DFE, and it was really the first comment by them in about using AI in education, generative AI in education. And just recently I was at a meeting, and Dan Fitzpatrick was there, who's going to be speaking on June 22nd here as well in EdTech 25. And he said a very good point. He was like, the trouble is, I think almost we're trying to solve the problems of 2023 right now, and by the time we get to 2026, we'll still be trying to solve the problems of 2023, and we won't be ready to solve the next lot of problems. It's developing so fast, and these reports can't really keep pace with it. But what I did, just to let you know how I used AI in my prep for this, was that it's an